When it comes to understanding spoken English, especially, for example, in movies and TV shows, we've talked about already working on your listening. Very important, of course, to be able to hear what people are saying. But that's not the only reason why you can't often understand. For example, characters in a movie or in a TV show. So that really is only part of it. And then the question that you might have in your mind is, hey, why is it that I can understand you in this course, but when I'm watching a movie, I have trouble, even if I understand the words that are being said? What's going on here? Doesn't seem to be a problem with my ear. I can hear the words they're saying, but I still don't quite know what they're talking about. I can't quite catch the meaning. And there are really three main things that fall under this category. Let's call them references, idioms, and phrasal verbs. So let's talk a little bit about these. I'll explain why these make it difficult to understand what someone is saying, what a native English speaker is saying, and then I'll tell you why you can understand me, and then we'll use that as our starting point to talk about what you can actually do to improve this part so that you can understand more of what you hear around you. Maybe with your friends, you have some inside jokes. Inside jokes. And an inside joke is one that only your friends know, or maybe one friend knows. And when other people hear you say that, they don't understand what you're talking about. They know the words that you're saying, but maybe the funny point is something that only you shared. Some very special thing that happened that only you two experienced, or you three group of friends experienced. And so when someone makes a reference to that inside joke, then you all laugh together. But someone from your culture who doesn't know this inside joke will just not understand what you're talking about. This is the same thing that's happening, but it grows in circles. So let me explain what I mean by that. Let's say the smallest circle is groups of friends, family members, people who are very close, and they understand these common things, inside jokes, references, this sort of thing that other people don't understand. Then let's say there's a slightly larger group around this, and I'm going to draw it in a kind of squiggly way because this could be your area. I live in New York, so for example, something that's shared by New Yorkers that maybe people in California don't understand. Something cultural, and there are things like that. A shared experience, maybe something related to snow in the winter that someone from Southern California just won't understand. Or maybe this is generational. Maybe this is just age. There are a lot of different generations based on general age groups, and an age group between maybe 18 and 25, they are not well understood by people who are 65 to 85, right? They'll know things, they'll have shared words and phrases that are inside that group, or references to memes, especially on the internet, memes and popular things and music that their grandparents will just have no idea about, probably, right? So in a way, when they're talking about those things, do their grandparents feel like you when you're watching a movie? Maybe it's a similar feeling. They're talking about some meme or video game or whatever. Their grandparents are listening, thinking, what are they talking about? I don't understand. But they have things that the younger generation won't understand. It goes both ways. So this could be generation or maybe area. These are not very strict, okay? Then let's say we have, and don't be too strict about these. I'm just trying to make a point here. Then we have this larger area, and let's just say that this is something like country culture. Now, of course, that's a very complicated thing because people in a country are very different, right? There are many groups of people, especially the United States. It's very diverse, right? Of course. But let's just say there are some common things that many Americans experience. Maybe things related to public school or the experience of going to university and going to a sorority or a fraternity. Maybe something about the drinking age, the fact that in the United States, for a long time, the drinking age has been 21, and that's not the same as other countries. So these are some shared things. And of course, it's not just laws and rules, I'm just giving an example. But there are some things that I could reference with other Americans, because I am one, that they will probably understand, that perhaps someone from the UK, from Australia, will maybe not know. There will be some things like that. Now, it's a little bit different because a lot of movies are popular from the United States in countries around the world. And so those things are actually more likely to be known. But if I go to Australia, I will hear things that I will definitely not understand. Why? I understand the word, but I don't get what they mean because there are things shared among most Australians, cultural references that I'm just not getting because I didn't have that experience growing up, because I haven't watched maybe enough Australian TV shows. I should probably watch more. And it's the same thing for the UK, except I've probably seen a lot more movies from the UK than Australia. So I'm more likely to know more of those cultural references. So the point is that there are these circles, and inside of each circle, there are things that those outside of the circle have no reason to know. And how could they know them? And this is the smallest, and then it sort of gets bigger. And then the biggest one, we could say, and it's quite fuzzy, of course, is just English speakers. Let's just call it native English speakers. And there are things in the culture of the English language that you know because you grew up in a native English-speaking culture. There are quite a few things. Some of those things have to do with the history of the English language, maybe references to Shakespeare or Christianity or something like that. And there are a lot of other things like that as well. Maybe we read a lot of the same literature when we're in school across all native English-speaking countries. So there's that thing that's shared. And I say this because this is something that most people don't really think about when they're learning English. They think, I'll learn words from books, I'll study, and then I'll know. But that's not it, because if that were it, when you watched a movie, you would understand 90%. But instead, maybe you understand 50%. Now, why do you understand me? Why do you understand me? Why can you understand me better? Why can you understand me better? Is it because I speak more slowly? Well, I would guess if I spoke more quickly right now, you would understand me at about the same level. Can you understand me better than someone in a movie? Probably. Why? It's because I'm choosing not to do these things. I'm deciding not to say a lot of things that I would say to other Americans because I know that many English learners won't know those things. Some will, some won't, but many won't, and I want to be understood. But I could turn that on and start doing it, and suddenly something would change, and you would think, sounds the same, but suddenly I don't understand so much. What happened, right? So why are we talking about this? Well, we're talking about it because once you know that this is a very, very important thing, then you can start to take steps to improve it. Once you realize and accept that, yes, learning a language is not just learning a language. It's actually learning language and a culture at the same time. You're learning about words, you're learning about grammar, yes, of course, but you also have to get in here. You have to experience some or a lot of this stuff in order to really start to use the language well. You have to stop thinking of any language, but especially English, as this thing that you can just sit down and study and learn, and start to think of it more as a cultural thing that includes art, that includes conversations, that includes religion, that includes music, that includes humor, all of these things and much, much more that you have to start getting into. You have to start swimming around in English speaking culture like it's a big swimming pool. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. And you're going to gradually find, hey, I know what they're talking about. That's from that movie. I know what they're talking about. That's from that stand-up routine. If you don't know what a stand-up routine is, that's a kind of comedy that's popular in, for example, the United States and the UK. I remember that joke, or I remember that song, or whatever it is. There are so many things I can't list them. It's not a checklist that you go through step by step. That's why I say it's a big swimming pool. The only way to start this is to jump into it and start swimming around.